Hello everyone, welcome to MLS Week in Review. I am the Analyst. You can follow me at theanalyst32 on Twitter if you are interested. But to the games this past week, Montreal beats DC United 2-0 with 2 goals from Drogba, including a very impressive free kick on his first goal within the first 15 minutes of this particular match. Montreal's been on a hot streak lately. They can't seem to lose, and they just keep bouncing up that proverbial Eastern Conference table. It's really sad to see DC United going in the opposite direction. They've been the best team in the Eastern Conference for 5-6 months of the season, and now they're just falling apart and pulling at Toronto. It's really not a good thing, especially the fact that Toronto's been doing a really good job this season, and especially lately, Giovinco's been pushing them forward with a little help from Josie Altidore. But DC United can't seem to score. He can't seem to get wins. And Montreal is winning every single week at this point. So there's very few games left here in this stretch run. And Montreal's trying to make the most of it. And we'll see if DC United can start doing the same. In our second match this particular week, Portland beats Columbus 2-1 in a game where we didn't play Lucas Milano. We didn't play Maxwell Urruti, or at least we didn't play him early. We stuck with Audie up front. We put Rodney Wallace out on wing. And it's probably the best we've played in about a month, to say the least. At least a month. Goodness. We haven't played this well in forever. I mean, we gave up a goal to Kai Kamara, which, I mean, really, giving up the goal to Kai Kamara these days really isn't saying much. I mean, that's his 22nd of the season to lead the league in goal scoring. But it's one of those things where, you know, where was this form just a couple games ago? Man, at least we kind of figured out what our lineup should be going forward. It was sad to see Will Johnson still suffering from some injury problems, some soreness in his knee continuing since his surgery this past year. But Jack Jewsbury filled in and gave us a veteran presence that really he hasn't played this well. Well, maybe other than the Seattle match a couple weeks ago. These 2 matches he hasn't played this well in over a year, to say the least. But he's really providing a great veteran presence and playing well for us. Audie scored both goals. One was an assist off of Rodney Wallace. One was an assist off of Darlington Nagbe, of all people. It's probably the most alive we've seen Darlington Nagbe play in weeks. He gets his U.S. citizenship and wants to be on the U.S. national team, but I mean, you really can't do much with that if he's not playing at a high level. Jurgen Klinsmann isn't going to look at him for the national team. So, good to see him starting to play well coming in to the playoff run we're making. And hopefully we can hold on to that spot because lower teams are playing well at just like we are. And we'll see how that ends up. But coming in our third match for this particular past week, we had the New York Red Bull playing Orlando City, and Orlando City thumps 5 goals onto the East leaders and makes it a 5-2 win. What happened to the Red Bull all of a sudden? I mean, I know it's kind of week to week with the MLS at times, but they gave up a hat trick to Kyle Larin, rookie. He's playing out of his mind this year. Looked at for him to be a staple of the MLS for the next few seasons. Kaká had 3 dimes for Orlando City. You know, after that win at Portland, you would have thought New York would come out and play a little bit better. But sadly, to no avail. I can't really say much more about the game. I mean, Orlando City's fighting for that 6th playoff spot, and they're trying to make a last-second surge to possibly pass up the lower team, so we'll see how that goes. The LA Galaxy in our 4th match beat FC Dallas 3-2, coming off their disappointing performance last week. You saw goals from Giovanni Dos Santos, you saw goals from Robbie Keane, you saw goals from Gerrard. or a goal from Gerard, finally. Good to see him back on the score sheet. Good to see the LA Galaxy back on the score sheet in general. They were the hottest team in August, and they've kind of cooled off in September. So that pushes them up to 50 points and the Supporter Shield's lead. The FC Dallas squad needs to figure out what they're doing. They're kind of just hovering mid-table there in the playoffs, so they're going to have to figure out if they want a home playoff spot or not, especially with the form Vancouver has been showing. They really haven't been up to snuff. Of note, this past week, we had San Jose beating RSL 1-0. Kind of sad for RSL, but San Jose continues to put pressure on the 6th spot for the Western Conference. Sporting Kansas City drew with Seattle, leaving both teams in about the same place in the Western Conference standings. You had Toronto beating Chicago 3-2 in a hard-fought match for a game against Chicago. As I mentioned earlier, Giovinco scored, Josie Altidore scored. It was one heck of a match. If you get a chance, look up the Giovinco play, because that was one heck of a goal off that corner, or near the corner at least. NYCFC went up to Vancouver, and David Villa kicked in a free, well, not a free, they kicked in a penalty from the spot late in the match to beat Vancouver 2-1. Sadly, Vancouver needs to figure out what's going on and right the ship before the end of the year here, because they haven't looked good the past couple of weeks. NYCFC trying to show that they can build on something for next season, and also trying to show that they can push for a playoff spot this season. I don't think that'll happen, but hey, you know, best try, especially with all the money they've spent. The New England Revolution drew with the Philadelphia Union 1-1. The Philadelphia Union ended up losing on penalties this past week to Sporting Kansas City for the U.S. Open Cup. Or like, I think they call it the Capital One Cup. I really don't know. It's a really small trophy, but they at least push themselves to fight for some hardware, and that's something to build upon over the next few seasons. They're pretty much out of the playoff race at this point, but the New England Revolution still playing pretty decently. Also, this past week, Houston beats Colorado 3-2. This happens to be the 6th point this past week for Houston. They won on Wednesday, and they won this past Saturday. So good for them. They're showing some late form and trying to keep up with San Jose and possibly push for a sixth spot in the West. Anyway, enough of my rambling. Here we go. The MLS conference standings. In the West, we have the LA Galaxy sitting in the Supporter Shield's first place with 50 points. Vancouver sitting at 48. FC Dallas at 47. Seattle at 46. Sporting Kansas City at 45. And Portland at 44. You also have San Jose at 43, knocking on the door. Houston at 41. RSL at 38. Colorado at 34. I'll have that posted up here for you while I'm talking. Of course, it'll be before this mention. Anywho, showing in the Eastern Conference, we have the New York Red Bull at 48 still. The New England Revolution, goodness gracious, at 47. The Columbus Crew at 47 as well. DC United at 45. Toronto at 43. And Montreal at 42. And knocking on the door in the East as well, Orlando City, 38 points. NYCFC, 37 points. And then Philly and Chicago are looking towards next season with 34 and 27 respectively. Anyway, this has been MLS Week in Review. Thanks for watching, everyone. You can follow me on Twitter at TheAnalyst32. And we shall see you on the other side of the pitch. Thanks for watching.